Hey everybody, Ashton here, and welcome back to another MuseThemes tutorial video. Today we're going to cover our new Menu Connect. This is a widget designed to help you out in creating menus that require sub-menus. Now as you can see, hovering over our menu on the top of the page here, we get these sub-menu displays that animate in a smooth, fluid motion complete with text, buttons, and icons. Now keep in mind, we do have our nav system widget from Muse as well, which is another powerful menu option, but that widget uses full page overlays, as opposed to this widget which appears as a standard text-based top navigation. Now I'm going to shrink my browser down a little bit to a mobile width really quick, and show you that the widget also has a mobile mode where the top menu is replaced by a hamburger menu, and the breakpoint trigger where this happens is customizable. Now many of you may be familiar with some of our other widgets in our Connect series, and just like the others, the content of this widget is managed with a spreadsheet, giving you lots of power to handle and update the menu easily without even needing to open Muse. So let me switch over to Muse now so we can explore how we get this bad boy set up. I'm working with a simple background fill here on the page, and we're going to go into our widgets library and drag out Menu Connect and drop it onto our page. Now for positioning, we're going to want to put this at the very top of our page, of course, aligned right at the top edge. And you have the option to change the height of the widget if you want, which will determine how high the menu will actually sit on the page. There's also an alignment setting in the panel that we'll get into in a bit that allows you to have the widget aligned to the left, center, or right of the page, so you can position the widget accordingly. We'll just leave it centered on the page for now. Before we do anything else, I want to give this a preview so we can already see the widget functioning right out of the box. There we go. Now of course we'll need to make some styling changes so it shows up better here, but you can already see the menu is displayed, and all the hovered sub-menus are functioning as well. And what we're seeing here is the content that was placed in the default spreadsheet template, but we're going to get this set up with our own parameters. So let's jump back to Muse and open the settings panel. Now our first option here is asking for our Google spreadsheet URL, and as with our other Connect widgets, we have a link here to a spreadsheet template that we'll need to copy and publish to the web. So let's give that a click. So what we have here now is a view-only version of the spreadsheet form Menu Connect. So we'll first need to make a copy of this for our own revision. So we'll go up here to File and select Make a Copy. And we'll give it a name and click OK. Great. Now we need to publish it to the web so that it can link up to our widget. So we'll go to File again and click Publish to the web. And we'll just want to change this to be a CSV file and then click Publish. Perfect. Now we can close out of this, and the last step here is to acquire our spreadsheet URL and paste it into the widget, and we can do that by simply clicking Share and selecting Get Shareable Link. There we go. We can copy it and head back to the widget and paste it right there. Great. Now let's head back to the spreadsheet and talk about what we're looking at here. Our first column here is where you can enable or disable any of the menu items listed using the checkbox. Next is Title. This column sets the text that appears as all of the elements within your menu, and this includes top-level navigation, links, buttons, and separators. Next is Parent. Now this column is used to place an item in a sub-menu drop-down. So for example, if you have several items to list under a top level of services, such as web design, graphic design, marketing, set the parent for those items as services. This will place those service items in the services drop-down. Next is Type. This column sets the type for every element of your menu. Choices are link, separator, or button. For Order, use this to order items within a drop-down. Drop-down Style. This column determines the style of the drop-down, and there are three options to choose from. We have Standard, which displays a vertical list of items within the drop-down. We have Columns, which displays items in a two-column format within the drop-down. And we have Icons, which displays icons next to menu items. Note that this style uses the two-column format and is also the style of the drop-down that allows subtitles. Now for Icon, use this column to place specific icons. Now each icon type, like Font Awesome for example, use unique codes for specific icons, and you can refer to the specific icon libraries which are linked in the widget settings panel. For subtitles, like I said, the icons drop-down style allows for subtitles, so you can enter your subtitles here, or just leave it blank for none. URL, you can enter your menu links here, and note that the full URL links are required, which means you're going to have to know what the final URL will be on your domain name for all the pages linked, or your site should be published. And finally, Target, which determines whether links will open in the same browser window or a new window. And just for the sake of demo, I'm going to change a couple of our page names here so we can see that everything is syncing up. So instead of home, I'm going to put welcome. And instead of who we are, I'll put meet our team. Perfect. Let's head over back to Muse to go over the remainder of the settings and styling options. In the panel here, there's an area up here for our icon web font source, and you can choose from any of the first three options, or if you're using custom fonts for your web font source, enter the web font URL for your custom fonts in this field. Same here for icon CSS class base. Again, if you're using a custom font, enter your CSS class base here. And we definitely recommend that you only use this custom option if you're comfortable with coding in CSS, as this process is a bit more advanced. Let me skip down to the mobile mode section for a moment. This section is where you can determine the color of the mobile hamburger menu by using this mobile trigger color setting, as well as the breakpoint at which mobile mode kicks in. Now my background is darker, so I'm going to change the color to white. And say you wanted the mobile mode to kick in at a smaller browser width, you could simply lower this number to something like 835. Great. Let's drop down the area for top level styling. Now a lot of the styling options here in the panel are pretty self-explanatory, but I'll go ahead and run through a couple hot buttons. Menu align. This aligns the menu left, center, or right on the page. And when using left and right settings, use the widget container placement on the canvas to determine the left or right edge. For center alignment, the widget should always be centered on the page. Also, I want to point out horizontal padding. Now this provides additional padding if needed from the edge of where the widget container is placed. So for example, if you align the widget with the right edge of the page, you could add some padding here so that there is space between the menu and the edge of the browser page. And while I'm here in this section, I'm going to change the font color to white so it'll show up a bit better. And I'm also going to change this first font in the font family section to Futura-PT, just to give it a bit of customization. Finally, let's go into drop-down styling. Tons of options here. Again, most of them are self-explanatory styling configurations, but I'll point out this one here, drop-down top offset. This creates an offset for the drop-downs, so increasing this value will make the drop-downs appear further below the menu items. And at the very bottom here, there's a toggle option for center button. This setting centers any buttons you've used within the drop-down. And while I'm in here, let's just do a tad more customization just so things show up nicely. Let's add our font family into each of these font family fields here. And I'll make a few of these a little bit bolder. There we go. Let's make this icon background opacity a full 1 and make the font size 24 and container size 52. And let's bump up the button width to 95%. There we go. I think that'll look pretty nice. Let's give this one final preview. There we go. All of our styling parameters are showing nicely. Our hover effects are working. We can see the title changes that we made in the spreadsheet already showing through. And we have a nice, functional, and stylish navigation in place in really no time at all. Thanks again for watching Menu Connect. Have some fun. And if you need any extra help, don't hesitate to reach out. Take care.